everyone! This is a new fantasy story I wrote. Here it goes. Willow walked back through the field of flowers. Her visit with Weatherin was very pleasant. The deep blue weather-controlling mystical dragon was actually a friendly being. The darkness consumed the land, eating up each hillside as she walked. It was as if someone spilled ink all over parched paper. She made her way through the creeping in the cold, as goosebumps formed on her thin arms. At last she could see her tower with golden light falling out the window at the top. She sighed and hurried in. As she ran up the stairwell, the door was open inside, ready to welcome her in for the night. She walked in as she spoke excitedly. "Lovisa, honey, you made the place so welcoming. My journey was crazy. There was a shiny rock, and when I touched it, the weather shifted." Lovisa took her hand and brought her over to a nearby rocking chair. He sat down next to her and looked intently interested in her story. He nodded his head and spoke merrily to her. "Go on, I'm listening, princess." She smiled. "Of course. So, this dragon swooped down and grabbed the gemstone. I followed him, and he turns out to control the weather. I helped find rose petals for the healing of one of the stones, I think. That's pretty much it," she said. Lovisa smiled. "I believe you. But now I know whose fault it is that the rain is. You know I hate water." She smiled back. "I know, you can't stand the rain." As she sat back down, her partner walked over to the counter in the kitchen with a cup of tea in his hand. As he walked it over to Willow, he handed it to her. "Here, awaiting your return, I made you a small fruity tea, your favorite, tangerine," he said. Willow lit up so happy. "That is so sweet, thank you." She drank the tea and then prepared for the night. It was refreshing after a long day of adventuring to relax and be buried amongst her favorite quilts and hand-knitted soft yarn blankets. When the sun grew over the land, there was a very distinct smell of rain in the air coming through the window. Willow opened her eyes that next morning and yawned. "Oh, honey, you hear that?" she said as her partner lay there beside her. "Hear what?" he replied, trying then to listen to the sound she heard. Willow sat silent and sat up. She looked like a marshmallow with all those quilts around her shoulders. "There it is again!" Lovisa looked puzzled. "I think I heard it that time. It's coming from the window." Willow jumped out of bed and walked over. The sound became louder and more clear. It was a tapping on the front door. She approached and listened. It came from below. Maybe I'll check." She opened the tiny glass on the door to see who's out there. Just what she could see was the red puffy tail of an old friend. She called out, "Oh, it's just Fynnian." Lovisa sighed. "Phew, I was really hoping it wasn't another devious hunter in search for our King Augustine." Willow rolled her eyes sarcastically and opened the door. Lovisa jumped out of bed as well and put on a green sweater. The little fox-like creature, Fynnian, looked up at Willow. Good morning, friend, Princess Willow of Farren Dale Kingdom. I'm here to inform you, Lawrence the wizard is not feeling well. He wanted me to tell you that he needs you. Very immediately, miss. He says he's losing feathers, very truly. He no longer looks that of an owl, but, more like you?" Fynnian looked worried for his friend's sudden and shocking transformation, as his eyes slanted sadly. Willow gasped and looked at her partner from across the room. "To be continued."